First of all, I want to state that I have great respect for teachers. I mean this sincerely. The most influential people in my life, other than my parents and maybe my Marine buddies, truly appreciate what they've done for me over the years. I've spent 4 years as an associate professor, both at private and public schools. I have 7 kids, so I have a little street credibility when it comes to the educational experience, and I've spent about 20 years in youth ministry, so I understand the importance of what teachers do, and I sincerely appreciate the efforts. With that said, I just wanted to go over something that you've already affirmed, which is you tweeted at one time, what we've seen in public education is that technology can't replace teachers. Remote education didn't work. You did tweet that, correct? Okay, thank you.
Yes, I did.
Thank you. I totally agree with you. My son,
I have tweeted about 200,000 times.
No, I get it.
So
that wasn't controversial. Sorry,
no.
We'll just continue. I'm not trying to corner you, believe it or not. I agree with you. My son actually was having problems during this educational experience where he couldn't get a teacher to meet with him well into the pandemic, where he was remotely learning, but he doesn't do math so well. He's like his dad. And he needed help in person, and even with precautions wasn't allowed to come in. So it really affected his educational experience in a negative way, to the point where he had to drop out of a class. It was harmful to him in that educational experience, just like many other students. We've seen it with countless families across the spectrum. We've seen a 5% dip in white students, 13% in African Americans, 8% in Hispanics, a great educational disparity that happened because of this educational experience that we experienced because of COVID. Would you agree that public education is an essential service? Yes or no?
yes, absolutely.
Thank you. Me too. I was on the front lines of the during this pandemic. I treated thousands of patients. First line from the beginning, when we didn't have any vaccinations, all the way to December 28th, my last shift. Would you agree that emergency room doc is also an essential service?
Of course.
Thank you.
I mean, and sir,
No, I
you may
get you.
not,
It's a simple
know.
question. No,
We
I'm
represent about 200,000.
I get you. And I
nurses.
represent a lot of ER doctors too,
Yeah,
so I get
and
you.
my sister is
So,
an intensive care
Thank you.
pediatrician.
Thank you for her service.
So I will tell her.
And of course, we couldn't do our job remotely, correct? As ER physicians, correct?
Well, we had over 200,000
I couldn't do my, no, I get you. I get you.
nurses who we represent
I get you.
who did not do their jobs remotely.
Right.
And we believed in being in school. That's why I
Yep.
said earlier.
No, I get you.
We tried from April.
Same as firefighters, same as law enforcement. Everybody has their jobs that are essential services that they can't do remotely. And as you stated, there are people who came in during some scary times that couldn't work remotely. I don't think we're trying to argue about what is essential services. I think we all agree on what those are, whether it be a clerk that actually helps you get your meals or your groceries, or somebody who's serving you in very real ways and required ways. I think we all agree on those things. And I get that it's scary. And I get that at the very beginning, there was definitely a reason to be overly concerned because we didn't know how this was going to work. It's a novel virus. I get it. And as we started to develop things, you guys got the wrong information a lot of times. So did we, because it was politicized. And some people who are quote unquote experts told us things that were wrong, even though they probably hadn't seen patients since the 90s. And people like myself who were seeing thousands of patients were censored, by the way. So you couldn't get the truth a lot of times. So I understand why teachers would be scared to go back to school. I do get that. But as this developed, and as the evidence became more clear, my concern is that we learn from these committees, because that's what we're here for. I don't think anybody disagrees that the whole reason we're here for this committee is so that we don't repeat our mistakes. We have to admit that we made mistakes. We all make mistakes. Doctors made mistakes. We used to not use NSAIDs. We didn't use steroids. We intubated patients. People died because of mistakes we made during a novel coronavirus that we learned from. But would you, as the head of this union, admit that teachers maybe should have gone back to school earlier with retrospective information so we don't make the same mistakes in the future and leave so many kids behind?
Look, I regret COVID. I regret what has happened here.
So I'm just asking a simple question. I want to learn from this, and
No,
I know what you regret. But I have 20
I
seconds
think
left.
I think you'd be, if you let me answer, I think
Sure.
you'd be surprised at my answer.
Okay.
I regret the fear that was there. And part of the reason we wanted clear clear information was because we had a role in terms of overcoming fear. I think this book that just came out yesterday actually gives us a roadmap for what we need to do going forward. Because I do think we didn't get it right. I think the ventilation issues, the testing issues, actually were more important than the social distancing issues. I agree with you. There were things that we really didn't get right.